Joining us now, Bill Taylor, former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, and Julia Mendel, former press secretary to President Zelensky. Welcome both. First to you, Julia, do you have any real optimism coming out of these talks, the first talks that we've seen in 2 weeks, and held under such suspicion, mutual suspicion, that the Ukrainian officials were told, don't eat, don't drink, don't shake hands with these people because of problems with Abramovich and others who got ill after some contacts?
Andrew, thank you for having me and for this great question. Actually, I am optimistic these days, but I'm optimistic not because only of these negotiations that have been lasting for like really months and appear to be strong enough to defend our land and actually to make Russia retreat, to make Russia lose in many regions. Because if even Russia has its justification of losing these days, it doesn't mean that it's true. We are pretty aware that Ukraine is negotiating with a terrorist country, and it means that there is no trust towards them. Also, Russia has killed thousands of Ukrainians in the recent months. And this means that handshaking doesn't look really natural here, right? Diplomacy is pretty new, but this format is the only format of negotiations that is continuing right now and that can bring results. Russia told today that there is a hope already, and it looked like truthful hope that Russian president can already meet Volodymyr Zelensky. And also they start accepting our conditions for the reason that they are really losing in many regions. It's really bad to trust Russia. It's really outrageous to trust Russia these days, because my Kherson town, my Kherson region is being bombed. My aunt and my mom are sitting in the shelters for all the day today. The houses of my grannies are fully bombed in the recent days, and the village where they used to live is taken by Russians. You mentioned other cities that are being bombed. So Russia is just losing, and that's why Russia tries to show that they are going forward to the conditions. But Russia doesn't understand any other dialogue than strength. And Ukraine was good enough to show that we're a strong, independent country and that we will be fighting to the very end.
Well, certainly the response by the Ukrainian civilians, the military, the leader, of course, in President Zelensky, has been remarkable, Ambassador Taylor. There's no question that Russia seems to be, for all of its resources, and we shouldn't overlook those, and the ships at sea, they have, all kinds of capacity from the air and artillery, but they're on their back heels.
They are, Andrea. They're definitely on their back heels. They have learned what Julia just said, that is, Ukrainians will fight. Ukrainians will fight fiercely. They're fighting for their land. They're fighting for their territory. They're fighting for their independence, for their freedom. They know what it's like to live under the Russians or the Soviets. They know this. They can look to see how they're living, how their Ukrainian compatriots are living in Donbass or in Crimea or in Kherson, where the Russians are in control. So the Ukrainians are fighting hard. They're fighting for their own land. They'll fight fiercely, and they're having some real success around Kyiv.
Well, let me also ask you about whether or not you think the president should stick to his guns about what he said on Saturday night and walk back and say he has no apologies, or what the fallout is from that, Ambassador Taylor, because he was on the phone today with the Brits and with the French, with Macron, and but it wasn't just Macron, it was others of the allies who also criticized him.
So, Andrea, my sense is that the president, and he said this, no change in policy. There's not a U.S. policy for regime change. President Biden never said regime change. So I don't think the language that he used in Warsaw was really important. And it's not those 9 words that you were talking about. I've listened to what he said in Warsaw, where he said that the West is engaged in a great battle for freedom, with Ukraine and its people on the front lines. That's the important thing. Ukraine's on the front line. We need to support them. President Biden also said that Russia would not win in Ukraine. Ukraine will win this battle, and that needs to be the focus of the alliance. That needs the focus of the American people. Of the Ukrainians are fighting our battle. We need to support them, and that's what he was trying to say on Saturday. And he was saying that he made a moral statement, Andrea. He made a moral statement about President Putin. It was not a policy change.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador Taylor. Thank you, as always, Julia. Best to you and, of course, your friends, your relatives in particular, and everybody there in the war zone.